It's time for Dads Making a Difference, powered by First Things First. This transformative show will help you learn how to handle the stress of fatherhood, how to better relate to your child, navigate the child support system, and all things that come with being a dad. With your hosts, Reggie Madison and James Frankie Woods.
Our community has been blessed with many great men, great husbands, fathers, and leaders who are dedicated to making an impact in the community. And so today we have one such man, Montrell Besley.
Yes, sir.
Man, you've seen the impact of fathers and fatherlessness in several different areas of your life, man. You served at an all-boys school, connecting the school with the community.
Yes.
You're currently the executive director for an organization called Project Return,
Yes.
where you helped recently release incarcerated men and women return back into society.
Yes.
You're a family man.
Yes.
First
and foremost.
You provide fun entertainment for the entire family with your mobile gaming truck.
Yes.
But most importantly, you just a good dude.
Good
Man, I appreciate that.
You a good brother to know. Welcome, Montrell.
Man,
Welcome.
It's a blessing to be on this show and to see that I'm show number 11. That means that the number 11 is great for me because of course I'm a Kappa, of course. 1911. So, those stars lining up just perfectly. For me.
Representing, giving a shout out early, right? I love it. Today we want to get into the work you've been doing, just helping dads and the community really see how vital dads are, particularly to a kid's success at schools, right?
Yes.
Especially boys. And dads, they have a unique influence.
Right.
They carry weight in a different way, and the way that they affect children.
Yes.
And not just children, but the way they affect the school, the way they affect the climate.
Right.
It's just different.
It's different.
It is. And so, but before we get into all that, tell the people, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you from? What was your family situation like? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So Montrell Besley, born and raised Alton Park, Tennessee. We always say Alton Park, Tennessee. It's still Chattanooga, but we Alton Park, Tennessee, on the south side. Grew up there. Still live in the same house, own the same house that I grew up in.
Wow.
I love my community. I love the people in my community. I love what my community has produced over the years. Went to Austin Peay State University, graduated with my bachelor's and my master's in public and community health. Then recently came, but once I finished up my schoolwork and everything, definitely went to Brainerd. Got to say I went to Brainerd.
Got to say that.
Got to say that.
We've had
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to my BHS people.
They love they Brainerd.
My bad, BHS. I didn't give my BHS a shout out, but went to school with Brainerd. After I left Brainerd, I went to Austin Peay. Then immediately came back home and got to work in my community. The Boys and Girls Club gave me my first job coming back home, which I worked for. I grew up in the Boys and Girls Clubs. That's what we had, along with the Bethlehem Center with Mr. Jennings.
Yep.
You either went to the Bethlehem Center or you went to the Boys and Girls Club on the south side, or both, or a combination of both, or the rec centers over when Richard was over at the 45th Street Gym. So you had a combination of opportunities to have an outlet for. Business owner, advocate for, everything right. Just a supporter, a server. I serve, that's me. It's all been about service forever. So, but just absolutely love what I do.
What makes you tick?
People. People makes me tick. Just, seeing, it's just the different things about people and, what they go through and what their mindsets are, what they're going to do next, or even goes on a limb to say, how can I serve you? How can I help you? Or how can I assist you? Yeah. But I didn't tell you, so I grew up, I guess you can call it a single parent home. I did know my dad, but I relied heavily on my two brothers and my sister. So they pretty much was the ones that raised me along with my mom. Yes, my dad was around. Yes, I knew who my dad was, but I had to grow to understand how my dad grew up. My dad was, I think, the second oldest of his siblings out of, I think it was 8. So it took me a long time to understand, why my dad wasn't around like I wanted him to be, or like why he wasn't around like he was around for my two brothers and my sister. But I had to learn that for myself. And once I learned the why, I understood, and I was able to forgive him more for not being there like he was with my brothers and sisters. And our relationship is growing now, so I can say that much. So my dad parents left the older siblings to raise the younger siblings. My mom and dad grew up in Jackson, Georgia, so it's a small town right in between Macon and Atlanta. So their way of living and growing up is totally different. So the older siblings had to take care of the younger siblings.
Gotcha.
So I didn't know that until, after conversations with my mom, after conversations just with my aunts, uncles, and understanding the why. So I had to find some forgiveness in my heart to learn the why. So it was hard. I mean, I think I was like probably 35.
Man.
Wow.
I think I was like mid-30s when I was like, oh, man, that makes sense. So I've been mad for so long for nothing.
Yeah, I'm speechless, brother. I really am.
But absolutely love my dad, man.
I just want everybody to just hear what he just, like, I want, like, Chattanooga, YouTube, podcast, wherever you listen to this, forgive your father.
Man, forgive him. Forgive him.
Because it was messing you up.
Yeah, it did. But I learned how to push on because I had my brothers and, I had, mentors. I mean, guys like Charles Morgan and Alvin Tarver and Coach McGarry, all these guys, man, I had Poochie Collins. I had all these guys in my life to, help me through life.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's right, like you do. But like you said, until you were 35, there's still that hole.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, why didn't you do this? And why didn't you do that? And it can cause you to have animosity towards your own father.
It does.
And once you let that go, like you said, man, that relationship with your dad, it's growing.
It's growing, yeah. And you know what else happened? It made me stop trying too hard to be a better father. Because oftentimes as fathers, we try to compensate for what we didn't have.
Right.
And once I got to understanding that, man, it made me I think it helped me be a totally different father and helped me be a totally better father. Because I understood then. I was trying too hard. I was, breaking my back to make sure, things happen. I was forcing relationships, and I didn't have to if I had just took the time and just step back and let things grow and happen. And that's the man that I am today. It's just with my boys, and my daughter, I just kind of like step back.
Yeah.
And, I come in when you need me.
Right.
I don't try to force anything,
The number of dads who are trying to prove
to
their father, you know what I'm saying? All these things. That they are this and that they are that.
Yeah.
And to hear you say you quit, like you kind of become secure.
Yeah, you do. You do.
He don't even realize he just secured me. You know what I mean? So I really needed to hear that this morning, man. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's what happens sometimes as fathers. We try too hard.
Gotcha.
That's just my opinion. We just try to be the best father we can be.
There's a lot of angry guys out there.
Oh, yeah. I was one of them.
Are trying to prove themselves.
Yeah, I was one of those guys. I was.
Man, so just piggybacking off of that, what was your role at the boys' school you worked at previously?
I was the director of community engagement, and it was one of the absolute best jobs that I've had. I had in a long time. I had the opportunity to actually, work with young men one-on-one. I was the community engagement director, but I was very hands-on with the boys in the hallway. So it's kind of, if you've ever been to Chat Prep, you only have a handful of men that look like us in the school building, and we demanded you respect. We demanded that you do right. While you in those hallways of this school. So we set example for our boys that this is what being a man looks like. I think all of the men in the building are married. I think all of the black males in the building are married.
Man,
even more positive.
So it was really a touching and I guess impactful job that I had, and I absolutely loved it.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what did you see as far as father involvement there? Did you see fathers often? Were they engaged?
Yeah. And that's a myth that I like to darn expel. We had a lot of active fathers at Chat Prep. we had a lot of hurting fathers at Chat Prep, and we had a few fathers that just wasn't there at Chat Prep. But for the most part, the fathers was there and active.
Yeah.
It is all about, I think, actually getting those fathers active, because I think it's a kind of like a almost expected that this kid that looks this black kid doesn't probably dad is probably not there. It's not true. Like, like I just had a phone call the other day. My son, my youngest boy, got in a little trouble at school, and the teacher called me. He's like, "Hey," I guess he couldn't remember exactly who I was. He was like, "Yeah, I heard he was adopted." I said, "Adopted?" I said, "Man, where you get that crap from?" I didn't say crap. I said the other word. I said, "Man, where you get that from? My son ain't no darn adopted." And even if he was, that shouldn't be a factor. Right. So these are the perceptions that, we have about our little black boys in our school, black and brown boys in our school, that they don't have fathers at home. And that's not true. Man. That's not true at all.
That's why we do this show right there. Yeah. It's changing the narrative.
Yeah, we got to change that narrative. We do have a lot of active fathers in our school.
So what impact did you see on the lack of involving the fathers and dads at your school?
The lack?
Do both. Talk about the lack and the presence. So ones that were involved and ones that maybe have.
You know what? Yeah. I seen, for the ones that was heavily involved and we knew that kid situation, I seen a lot of stepping up from other fathers that didn't have to, whether it was a coach or another parent that was in that building. Gotcha. Our fathers in Chat Prep, they assisted a whole lot, whether it was their son or not. So that's what I seen, especially if you was a coach, you filled in.
Yeah.
It seemed like y'all embraced that village.
Yeah, it takes a village. Right. It takes a village, and what sets Chat Prep, apart from all the other schools is that we just don't throw you away. I'm not saying all schools do that, but at Chat Prep, you have second, third, fourth, fifth, and 10th chances to get it right. We don't just say, "Oh man, this kid just ain't gonna never get it right." I'm still saying we like I work at Chat Prep because that's how I still feel a part of Chat Prep.
That's the father in you.
Yeah,
man.
right. Because those are my boys. Yeah. Anytime I see those boys, I can correct those boys when we're out.
Right.
Because we got the Lighthouse Collective, so a lot of those boys from Chat Prep come to our events. Gotcha. And when they see me, they know it's not going to be any mess. You expected to act a certain way. You expected to hold yourself accountable. And you expect it to, represent your school, not just your school, but your parents.
Yeah.
So
mention a little bit, because the Lighthouse Collective is a group of fellas,
black men,
that are, and all fathers,
all husbands,
right? That have come together to make a change in this community.
Yes,
particularly
big
for
impact.
the family.
Yeah, big impact.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Lighthouse Collective was formed through Chris Ramsey. Rest in peace, Chris Ramsey. Yesterday was his death date, which I'm not even gonna say his energy date, his energy expiration date, but his spirit still lives on through through myself, Ladarius, Troy Rogers, and Chris Sands. So. He brought us together, back in, I think it was 2019 for the Boys Leadership Summit. So he was the one that, lit the torch and pushed us to continue that torch carrying on. So we we came together and formed the Lighthouse Collective, and we just been rocking ever since, making sure that our kids, our young people had something to do throughout the break months, because that's when crime rate was high amongst young people. It's when they didn't have anything to do, and we're able to prove that all during our events, everything that we had, crime rate was down.
Yep.
Statistically, on paper, on a computer, we can show you that crime rate went down when we had activities for our young people during those break months. So we're working, man. We're working. It's more great things to see from Lighthouse Collective.
Gotcha. So what have you learned throughout your career about helping dads and even other father figures to engage in the education of their children?
Oh, man, just proving to them that our boys need you. Just show up. It hasn't been a struggle, yes, because, fathers are only looked at as the provider. Right. And I'm going to provide, and that's it. But we've been able to show fathers that you're important too, by just hosting small events, that's catered to fathers. I think Chat Prep is on the right path to start doing, small events to show dad appreciation, to show that, you're needed in your son's life, whether you've committed a crime or whether you've not committed a crime, whether you're the richest or whether you're the poorest of poorest, your son still needs you. It's not all the time about that monetary donation or contribution, or it's mostly about that time spent.
So what are some of the differences that you have seen at, and my intention wasn't to make this all about chat prep necessarily, but it's a really good kind of example. I know you have sons that go to Macaulay. What have you seen about the difference in an environment where it's just boys versus a co-ed environment?
Oh, man, it's a big difference. The boys are more focused. They don't really have to prove themselves to, any girls or, beat on their chest. I'm the alpha male. It's more, our boys tend to form more of a brotherhood and work together. It's not anybody, pushing for egos or fighting for, the top dog spot. It's more working together, and it allows the boys to be themselves. So, like, I'm going to give you an example. So, like, when I was in middle school, I wish you would have brought a toy to play with in middle school. I don't care if you was in 6th grade. So, our boys will bring some of the boys that are in the lower grades, like 6th, 7th, 8th grade. I've even seen a few in the 9th grade. I've seen a few 9th graders bring toys to school. So, our boys are allowed just to be themselves and grow in their own space. So at Chat Prep. So that's what I love. What's one of the things I love the most about the school is that the boys were able to grow into themselves and to mature at their own pace. Because when I was in middle school, man, you had to mature fast.
Right.
You had to mature very fast. I had friends that were already pregnant and having babies in the 7th grade. So maturity set in very quickly once you hit 6th grade.
Right.
Well, you think about it, man. That 6th, 7th, 8th grade, boys are changing.
Yeah.
Girls are changing. They developing.
Yes.
And you don't even know what you're changing into. But you got to impress the other sex if they're right.
Exactly. Because you don't want to be that dude that don't have a girlfriend or don't like girls or whatever. So it's weird. It's weird.
So what can schools, principals, central office, and teachers and education community do to make sure that the fathers are more involved and invited into schools?
Invite them. Call them. Pick up the phone. Stop thinking that father's not there just because. No, he's not there because you hadn't called him. 9 times out of 10, I guarantee a father is not there because you haven't called that father. Yeah. Now, and then I only go on a limb and say if you call that father, you get better results. I'm not saying our women, don't get good results, but I guarantee you call that dad, you get a better result.
Dude, I have seen that so many times. Like, I'll talk to people, school, whether it's counselors or family coordinators or outreach, whatever. And they'll say, and you see this in school, even in school, they'll say, I can't get dads here.
Yes, you can. Invite them.
And exactly. And I say, getting dads, just like getting boys, is very different.
Yeah.
And here's what I mean. And when you're in grade school, they ask for a volunteer. We don't raise our hand.
Nah, we just go in and
we
do
just
it.
sit back. A lot of times we'll sit back and because the girls are, I'll go, right? Right? Because they will see validation that way. Right. But if you ask a boy or a man to do something, if I call you up and say, hey, Montrell, man, we got this thing going on at the school. I need your help.
Yeah. We'll do it.
He will be there.
Man, we'll
what time you need me there?
Yeah.
What you need me to do?
Right.
Do I need to bring anything?
Right. Exactly right.
I've seen it
over and over
again.
Just ask and start just having events for dads.
Right.
Have donuts with dads. Yeah. Just small things to show, hey, dads, that we need you.
Right.
We need you to be not just in your life, but in the lives of these other young men that may not have a father role model in the building or in his life.
So before we get into these 5 questions, this is something that I personally like to do. I want to give you your flowers today.
Oh, man, I appreciate it.
I want to say thank you for what you do, because every time I walk into your facility where you running and what you been doing, you giving opportunities.
Opportunities, that's what life is about.
And I see it. So I couldn't wait today to tell you I really appreciate you for what you're doing for our community.
I appreciate it.
Because I have seen the other side, and now I see this side. And when I talk to your people, when I come in and we talking, I look and I say, when it started you saying today? And I be saying, I can't wait to tell you. So today, I just want to say thank you,
man.
brother.
I appreciate it.
I really do.
I appreciate it.
Because we don't say that enough to each other. And I love you for what you do.
You have to, man. That's what life is about, man. You have to give other people opportunities. You're not going to be around. It's like I tell my staff at Project Return. If I can't grow you as a leader, I'm doing something wrong. If I'm worried about you taking my position, I'm doing something wrong. You have to grow leaders. We got to stop hoarding positions. It's okay. I want you to be able to take my position. I want you to, just like I told them, I was like, I have a lot of younger staff. And I always tell them, like, this is not your last stop.
Yeah.
Don't think that you're going to be in this job for 20, 25, 30 years, because the younger people nowadays, they're not going to ever work a job 25 and 30 years.
Right.
They're not. That's just, the millennial thing, the generational difference. It's like my parents were designed and built to work, jobs 25 and 30 plus years. And when I change over jobs, my parents have a fit. They're like, what are you doing? You supposed to be there and retire. No, that's not, that's not who you're supposed to be. Right. You're supposed to look for the next thing to grow with. You're supposed to look for the next thing to go on to and to help continue to build. So I always just try to push my staff to grow, just to grow, learn something new. Be open to different things and be open to my, constructive criticism, because I love to be, somebody to tell me, hey, Montrell, you can do this better, or this is how you can do this better. You did this great, but you can do this better. Gotcha. So it's all about really structuring words,
So tell us a little bit about Project Return. Man.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Project Return, it is a great, man, it's a wonderful job, or and I shouldn't say job, a way to serve. It's a organization that started in Nashville. It's a reentry program, so we're fighting recidivism. So we need, our people that are coming out of the state and federal penitentiaries and the local jails. We don't want them to ever have to return. And 9 times out of 10, those guys and ladies that went to these facilities, they didn't have, parents or have anybody to show them, a guiding light, or had more people than the other to show them, something different. So this is an opportunity to fight against, our people, staying out of jail when they come out. So we provide them with the resources that they need via, things that we take for granted, like a darn driver's license. We really, ID, we take that for granted. IDs, birth certificates, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, things like that we take for granted. And these are the things that our people coming from these facilities have a hard time doing. So some people just need an extra leg up and an extra push to get them to that point. And we provide jobs as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, so somebody wants to get a hold and get somebody into Project Return, wants to connect. How do they do that?
Let's go to I say Chattanooga.
Yeah,
Prep.
right.
You always make me say Chattanooga. You go to www.Chattanooga. www.projectreturninc.org to find out more information about Project Return.
We're gonna have you back, and we're gonna talk just about
let's do that
process. Because you see what even jail does to guys.
Oh, yeah.
And the process, the pathway that it takes to get, so that sometimes they are confident enough to be the men, the fathers, the impact in the community, the husbands that they need to be.
Yeah.
And, that's what you're talking about, working on.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does mean providing, things that we take for granted. But often doing that, you instilling dignity,
man. Yes,
and respect
and it's
to
crazy.
this guy.
And so now I'm seeing the other side of things. Working with kids, in the educational institution, and working with adults coming out of the correctional institution, and you're getting to see the results of this. Is why I tell you that you shouldn't do A, B, and C. These are the results. So I've even seen young men that I work with when I work for the rec centers for the city of Chattanooga, and it's like, man, this is why we were trying to keep you from this. Now you see, and they're like, man, Mr. Montrell, I know, but how can I help? How can I serve? How can I get in front of young men that was like me when I was coming up in your centers to tell them, like, I didn't listen. This is what happened to me. So I'm looking forward to bridging that gap, and I'm looking forward to bridging the gap with First Things, with talking to our parents to help them, get back into their kids' lives, because that's a process. Right. I can't come out of, doing a 25, 30-year stint and think that I'm just going to jump back into my kids' life. Right. Exactly. So I want to talk through some things to see how, that branch or that bridge can or road can be built and connected.
And that's right there. Helping dads, helping moms be the difference in their kids' lives.
Yeah,
man, we're gonna get you back in a few months. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Man. Let's we may not get through all these questions, but let's see what we can in the last 5 or so minutes.
Cool, let's do it.
Right. So what makes dads irreplaceable?
Time. The things that can be instilled that only a man can teach. Whether it's love to a daughter or discipline to a son.
So what's the funnest or most outrageous thing that you have ever done with any of your children?
Oh man, the funnest, the most outrageous thing. Can you come back to me on that question?
Okay.
Let me think about that. Let me
Okay.
go to the next one.
So what advice would you give your younger self?
Just do it.
Okay.
Just do it. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep
See,
going.
I like that. I like that. All right.
Don't look back. Don't look back. Just do it. Keep going. Learn from your mistakes and just keep pushing.
Gotcha.
So what's the biggest barrier that you have seen, especially non-traditional fathers face?
Oh, non-traditional fathers, you mean fathers that are not married, that are having conflict, maybe with, their kid's mother, is, I guess, holding that child over their head, as using that child as collateral.
Wow.
Saying that, you're not going to be with me, you can't see your son. Or saying that you're not contributing to my bills, so you can't see your son or your daughter. So I think, holding our kids as collateral to the other parent, it hurts. It hurts not just, the kid, but the relationship between that father. And it makes that father not want to be there, or not even have to want to even push back for that fight.
Definitely. So if you could take your teenage son or daughter anywhere, provide them with any experience, what would that be?
Out of the country. Hands down, out of the country.
Gotcha.
I would take them to, somewhere like, the DR or Brazil or Africa or, Australia, anywhere out of the country, because that's one thing that I've got to experience late in life is, an experience outside of the country. And it opened my world up so much. Just like for my honeymoon, my wife and I went to the DR and we got to see the real DR, not just what's in the resort. And it was just like mind blowing to see people living in something the size of this room, and you got a hurricane about to blow through this town.
Right.
So it just really opened my mind up. It really did.
Cool.
The way those people hustled that looked like us. Oh my God!
Man.
Nobody was saying no, don't go buy that from him. Buy it from no. They was like, hey, he got it over there too. Go get it from him. So it's just that DR just really woke me up. Culturally, it did. So I would provide my kids with the most out of country experience I could possibly can.
Man,
if I could do that again, yeah.
Can we start a GoFundMe for my brother?
Yeah, we need
Send him on, right?
Reggie got what you got?
We need to.
Ooh, I got 7 of them.
Ooh, bless you.
I need a foundation supporting me to take mine out the country.
We gonna get you a mission trip.
But I couldn't wait to get here today to vibe with you, brother. Like I couldn't wait, man. I when I saw your name, I was like, I finally get to say what I want to say to.
Oh man, you can always talk to me, man.
In front of Chattanooga, Tennessee, I finally get the chance to say something to my brother who I know who's come up through the rankings.
Man, you can always talk to me.
Hey guys, thank y'all. Thank you, Montrell, for being here. We appreciate you. And until next time.
Next time.
Go make a difference.
Anytime.
Gotcha.
You've been listening to Dads Making a Difference, powered by First Things First. Join us for our next episode right here.